The Mystery of BELICENA VILLCA. Second Book. The Letter of BELICENA VILLCA. 18th Day. In the year 1118, finally, the 9 Gelns found the key of Solomon's temple, with the acceptance of the wide fraternity. They are 3 initiated priests, in charge of the localization of the tablets of the law, and 6 knights for custody. One of the initiates is the Earl Hugues of Champagne, in whose lands have been installed the Cistercian order, who is relative of the King Baldwin of Jerusalem and flattened without difficulties the occupation of the demanded site. It is the traditional emplacement of the Temple of Solomon. Its residence for many years in that place would mean to them the name of Knights of the Temple, that they adopted later, although they preferred to call themselves the only guardians of the Temple of Solomon. Finally, after searching a long time, meditate, reflect, and comprehend the nature of the secret, and counted also with the help of the angels, of the wide fraternity, the Templars were in conditions to find the Ark. And when the secret reached to their hands, and they were preparing to escort it to Europe, Bray and Bishar joined them, the same immortals that murdered at the Vrayas, of the house of Tharsis. From Changshambhala, the white fraternity sent Bray and Bishar to accompany the transport of the Ark to Clairvaux, and ensure this to reach without problems. Once there, they would try to seize the wise sword and to resolve the pending accounts with the house of Tharsis. I will suspend for a moment the relation of the consequences that this new apparition of the immortals would produce for the lords of This. The most important now is to stand out that in the year 1128, the Ark is installed in Clairvaux, in power of the highest dignitaries of the synagogue and the Gallium Church, in the heart of the College of the Constructors of Temples. In this way was developed the second movement. The triumphal result of both movements motivated the Gelns to act immediately with the third. The 6 knights that have transported the Ark are in the Champagne, with Bray and Bishar, who are still in Clairvaux, instructing the College of Constructors, and was agreed to constitute them in the cavalry order. With that secret purpose, Saint Bernard convoked in 1128 a council in Troyes, in the region of the Champagne, where the Benedictine and Cistercian clerics assisted on their totality. Bishops, abbots, priors of all the monasteries of the order, who comes conscious of the importance of the event and want to watch close are the terrible immortals Bray and Bishar, who are also present. In the Council of Troyes, is approved the formation of the Order of the Temple, and was entrusted to Saint Bernard the redaction of its rule. This will be monastic rule, basically Cistercian, but completed with norms and dispositions that regulate the military life. In front of the order will be a great master, who will only depend from the Pope. The mission of the order will consist in to form an army of knights to fight in the east and Spain against the Saracens. In Occident, the order will possess properties suitable to practice the monastic life and offer military instruction. The Order of the Temple will be authorized to receive every type of donations, but the knights will have to practice the vow of poverty, etc. During the rest of the 12th century, the order grows in every aspect, and in the 13th, a real economic and military power subjected, and until certain point, to the authority of the Church. Due to the occult objective of the Crusades was to obtain the Ark of the Covenant of Jehovah Satan, with the chosen people, and such objective was already achieved. It is evident that the maintenance of the Holy War had no other purpose than to strengthen the order of the Temple and the Church. The next Crusades, indeed, allowed the popes to demonstrate their power above the kings and nobles, and to the order of the Temple to increase their riches. In this way, the papacy reached its highest grade of prestige and could summon the kings of France, England or Germany, to cross with Christ, our Lord, and, with luck, even achieved to eliminate some potential enemy of their plans for the European hegemony, as the Emperor Frederick Barbarossa, for example, who never returned from the Third Crusade. And, while the war continued, and the army of the East was professionally improving and turned indispensable in all its operations, the order was constructing a formidable economic and financial infrastructure. It was said that such power served to sustain the crusade of the Templar Knights, but, in reality, it was assisting to the foundation of the financial synarchy. The order soon developed, over the base of their countless properties in France, Spain, Italy, Flanders, etc. A banking network, which operated with the newest system of the promissory note, invented by the Jewish bankers of Venice, and their central seat was in the House of the Temple of Paris. Real bank, provided a treasurer and strong chamber. Naturally, they practiced the loan with interest to noble and kings, which owed amount, and other very advanced documents for the period, were kept in coffers of the order. Among other responsibilities, they had entrusted the administration of the funds of the church and the tax collection for the crown of France. The Templars occupied in Spain many sites. Within them was Monzon Castle, which after the death of Alfonso I, the Battler, was given to them in property. From there, they fought against the unfaithful, according to the rule of the order. Such fortress was located in Huesa, on the shores of River Cinca, in the time Kingdom of Aragon, and Beret and Bishar went thither, after the Council of Troyes, accompanied by an important entourage of Cistercian monks. The Immortals were going to realize a secret Galeem Council, in which would remain established the directives for the next 100 years, date in which they would ask for accounts again about the fact. In that council, apart from the details of the Galeem plan that I have described, the Immortals proposed, in the name of the wide fraternity, 2 issues had to be resolved as soon as possible. It was about 2 extermination sentences. One, against the House of Tharsis, was still pending since long time ago. The other, against the Cathars and Albigens of the Languedoc, was recent and had to be executed immediately. About the House of Tharsis, the Immortals admitted that it was a difficult case, because it was not possible to fulfill the extermination without finding before the stone of Venus that they had occulted in a secret cave. With the purpose to achieve the confession of the key to find the secret entrance, Bray and Bishar decided to attack this time to the members of family that were inhabiting the neighboring city of Zaragoza. They were 3 persons. The Bishop of Zaragoza, Lupo of Tharsis, his widow sister, old now, who lived with him in that bishopric and was in charge of the home issues, Lamia of Tharsis, and her son, a young novice, of 15 years called Rebers. The 3 of them were kidnapped and taken to Monzon, where they were locked in a dungeon while the torture instruments were prepared. They started with the old man Lupo, to whom they wildly tormented without obtaining a single word about the secret cave. Finally, and even if he had the majority of his bones broken, Lupo of Tharsis died as the lord he was, smiling with irony in front of the impotence of his assassins. With the woman and his son, the Gelms employed another tactic. Considering that they would be quite frightened by the screams of the bishop, they prepared a convenient scene to extort the young Rebers, with the threat of subjecting his mother to the same degrading torment that had finished with the life of Lupo of Tharsis. Hence, they extended Lamia over the torture table and started to stretch her limbs, producing frightening screams of pain. In that moment they made enter Rebers, who came with tied hands in his back and escorted by 2 Cistercian Gelms, who remained frozen of terror at listening the laments of Lamia and discovering her tied to the mortal table. And when seeing him paralyzed of horror, a triumphal smile was drawn on the countenance of the Galeem, who counted by in advance with the confession. But what they didn't count with, nor then, was the mystical madness of the Lords of Tharsis. Oh! The madness of the Lords of Tharsis, that had turned unpredictable for hundreds of years of persecutions, and that was manifested as the absolute courage of the pure blood, a courage so high, that resulted in inconceivable any weakness before the enemy. Without being able to avoid it, the young Rebers, impulsed by a mystical madness, made 2 leaps and he situated beside his mother, who was looking him with a shiny gaze. And then, with just 1 slash, he smashed her left jugular vein, causing her a fast death by bleeding. Now the Gelms were not laughing when they were dragging Lamia. Nevertheless someone laughed. Before she died, Lamia reached to emit an ironic belly laugh, whose echoes remained many seconds reverberating in the meanders of that gloomy prison. and Rebus, who had just killed her and had his face covered with blood, was smiling relieved when proving that Lamia not existed anymore. No, the Gellams were not laughing. They were really pallid of hate. It was evident that the will of Rebus could not be bowed down by any mean, but not for it they would not stop to torture him unto death. They would make it even if it would be only to relieve the rancor that they experimented against the lords of Tharsis. Bray and Bishar didn't achieve anything with such bloodshed, and due to this they left to the Sister Asin and specific mission to be fulfilled in the next years by the order of the temple, no matter the cost, even if that implicated to get engaged in a permanent struggle against the Terrafer of Seville, but had to be constructed a castle in Arasna, a few kilometers from the village of Tuds. The exact place would be the one known since antiquity as the Cave of Odia, and today called Cave of the Miracles, whose name meant, evidently, Cave of Odian, or Wetan, but that was also denominated Cave of Daedalus, due to the deformation of Cave Odal. Naturally, Daedalus, the constructor of labyrinths, was other of the names of Nevton. The entrance of the Cave of Odiel was located at the ground level, in the peak of a hill of Arasna. The plan consisted in to edify a Templar castle to occult the Cave of Odiel. The entrance, since then, would be only accessible from inside of the castle. Why they would need that? To reach to the secret cave of the Lords of Tharsis. Because, according to what Beret and Bishar believed, from the Cave of Odiel would be possible to approximate to the secret cavern employing certain techniques that they would put in practice at their return from Changshambhala.